everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Marie here and today's video is for my creative scrapbook. So this one is using the Live Captured collection by Simple Stories, which is the February main kit from my creative scrapbook. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested in subscribing to their kits. They do a variety of different kits. I think there's 4 kits that they produce every single month, and this is the main kit. So a lot of this kit is about, it's like a year in review kind of kit that you can, there's each of the papers has a month on the back and a little calendar and all things to do with just like documenting life. So there's a lot of the ephemera were things like little houseplants and books and pens and some of the things you can see there. And I decided it would be perfect to kind of make this shelf idea. Now I had the idea to start with that I was going to create one shelf on my layout, and that's where my 2 photographs were going to sit. So my photographs of my little boy, this is on Boxing Day, and he got some little presents from Santa. This is it's like a little kit of punch out cardboard pieces that you stack together in a particular order, and it makes a 3D model of an animal. Well, he had a whale of a time making them. I think he got 3 of them. And this one he's making here is a chameleon, and he sat and it kept him busy for ages, so they were wonderful. And I just thought it's so nice. It kind of looks really studious and really like he's getting on with it, so I thought this would be perfect. So what I did was, the pictures are very red and green. My room is decorated in quite a green colour, and he's on a red mat that was on the table from Christmas, so I was like, I'm going to have to go with the reds and the greens. So I did choose that brown spotty paper for my shelves. It was the closest thing in the kit to looking like wood grain, so that's made my shelves. And then, like I say, went through all the ephemera and picked out all the officey type things that went along. So I went with the pinks, the greens and the reds as well. Now I did, like I said, I had the idea that it was going to be one shelf, and then I started thinking actually I like things in 3s. 3 shelves would look really good, and I had loads of extra ephemera, so I thought, well, why not, let's have some extra ones on there. So I've taken strips of cards, that dotty cardstock, I've rounded the corners to make them look more shelf-like, and then I've added sticky foam pads to the back of each one to prop them up off the page so that they look more 3D. Now I'm just pulling out my T-ruler here because I figured if my shelves are wonky it's going to be really obvious. So I decided just to be more precise with this. I don't often use rulers on scrapbook layouts, but there are certain things that you need a ruler for. So I've actually decided to tuck some of the ephemera behind the shelves just to give this idea of depth on the shelf. So some of it's tucked behind and some of it's going to be in front. So you get that sort of, that idea of depth. So just popping lots of sticky foam pads now on the back of everything to make sure that there's I do love using sticky foam. I just think it gives a lovely sense of dimension on a page. These are large square foam pads as well, so they're dead easy. They're really quick to add. And then I've got some little teeny tiny circle ones as well when I've got things that are too small for the big square ones. I've got a variety of different sizes. So that's those top 2 shelves sort of done, and I'm just now going to start playing with this bottom shelf. So first thing is to line it with those squares, peel the backs of all of those off. You find them everywhere. Do excuse my gloves, by the way, I was freezing. It was a really, really cold day. I think it was like -5 outside when I was making this. So it was pretty cold, and the gloves just helped me keep my hands warm. So then I was going to just literally stick, I was going to back these photographs, and then I was just going to pop them on the shelf. And then I had an idea that I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I take one of the 3x4 cards from the back of the, so I used the back of the sheets to cut out a 3x4 card, and I was going to just stick it on. And then I decided, actually, what do you get on office shelves? Well, you get a photo frame. So I draw a diagonal line just by eye coming in from each corner and chop up that piece of card so that you get 4 outside pieces that have, basically what I'm trying to make here is a photo frame. So it might not be immediately obvious on the photograph, but because it's cut up, there is a line at each corner and it looks like a wooden photo frame that's been joined together. So I cut all of those off, and then I kind of just give them a little bit of distressing around the edges to make it look like wood, and then I piece it back together using some little sticky foam dots on the corner. So I use the dots to hold the frame back together, as you can see me doing here, and I am making sure it goes back in the same way that it was taken apart. I also use my little trimmer there, as you saw, to measure each one so that they're all the same width all the way around. So now I'm using a very thin strip of sticky foam to go around the outside, and that's what I'm going to use to adhere the frame to the photo. So it's literally just going to be popped on the photograph like that. It gives it a little bit of dimension, a little bit of shadowing, and having those corners cut through makes it look like a photo frame. So again, I'm going to do the same now, using some of the red spotty paper, just using the guide on my mat there to cut in from each corner, and then to just basically cut all the way through to the middle, and then measure each one so that they're all the same width, and then put it back together. I realise I could have cut a square out the middle, but I just don't think that would have given the same effect. I liked the effect of the cut corners. So again, little foam stickers on the corners, and then a line of tape around the edge, and then peel off all the back in and pop it onto the photograph, and again you've got a lovely photo frame then. It worked so well, I'm so pleased with it. And it just adds to the effects of it being a shelf. I did forget to distress these, so I'm now very carefully, hopefully without ripping it apart, trying to just go around and put a little bit of distressing on. There we go. They don't quite go on centrally, but it doesn't matter because you can't see where exactly the photograph is sat. So there we go. That's where they're going to sit on my shelf. Now they're slightly bigger than they were obviously before they had the frame on. So now I've just got to rethink slightly where my ephemera is going. So the first thing is that pile of books, and then I wanted the little lamp sat on the pile of books, so it's kind of looking down and shining down towards one of the photographs. I love that idea. I love the way that kind of all fit together. Then another little plant on the front. So I'm not going to add any more dimension to these photographs because they've got dimension between the frame and the photo. It just doesn't need anything else. I do consider making them wonky, and then I decide that actually they look better straight because they look like they're falling off the shelf there. So I do make them straight on my shelf. A lot of fiddling. Until I get the position of them quite right, there's a lot of fiddling. Oh no, I do add some foam on. Oh, I just add it to the back one. Sorry, that red one. So that red one is in front of the brown one. So I tucked a little clipboard in the back there. Little pencil in front of the photo frame. Just using a variety of things. So if it needs popping up, I use a little bit of a foam pad. If it just kind of gets stuck down, it just gets a little line of glue on the back. Little clip on the corner. Then I had this idea for the title to also be sat on the shelf. And I loved this title. These titles are part of the kit, obviously. I think they're from Vicky Bootin, and I liked the idea of small things because it was making something very small, but it's one of those small things that can provide so much enjoyment. So yeah, it was perfect title. I did put the on there. In the end, the didn't look quite right, so the comes off altogether, and I just have my title as small things. So now I'm just going through and playing basically. This is my favourite part, going through and picking out all the different bits and pieces that I can still add in, because there's also the sticker sheet. I realise that is a duplicate lamp, and I've already got a lamp, but it just fit in so well. And really added to that top shelf, so I don't mind. A little pen pot there, a little blue one. There is a hint of blue in the photograph. He's wearing a blue jumper, so I didn't mind that there was a bit of blue, which is a slight departure from my colour scheme, but I still think it looks lovely up there. Another plant going in, and then I play around with where the different plants should go. And then I decide to swap that one over completely, put that one into the middle shelf, and then have a different one on this bottom shelf. So I'm going to tuck away, there's a blue plant pot attached there, so hide the blue, it's a bit blue. Hide that one away. And then I decide it just needs a little bit of something around the edge. So I take off a small strip from the bottom and a small strip from the side. Now this does involve me having to take some of my ephemera off because I didn't think this through beforehand. So I very carefully have to pick out some of my ephemera here. I managed to do it without damaging anything, which is great. Take off a small strip from the side and then stick the ephemera back on. So I'm just going to now use my guillotine to make a cut part way down, not all the way through, and the same here, so that I end up with this corner that I can stick on the corner of my, so it's the top and the left hand side of the layout. It just felt like it needed something. It was very, everything sort of felt like it was floating a little bit, and I just wanted it grounding, and that helped. I also felt like all three of my shelves had ended up a little bit high up on the page, and I wanted them a little bit lower. I felt like I wanted to move all three of them down. This allowed me to do that a little bit by adding that strip at the top. So it kind of moved the whole focus just down slightly, and it just balanced out a little bit better. So I forgot to distress the edge of my white paper before I stuck it down, which was really silly. So it took me ages to distress those edges. And now this is me tucking my ephemera back in, which involves me peeling up my lamp to try and get it tucked under there, because I'm determined that's where it's going. And eventually, very carefully, we peel everything back off, tuck everything back in, and stick everything back down, and it's all fine. A little bit more glue. And I'm so happy with how this has turned out, and it's been so much fun just playing with all those little bits of ephemera. Has been so much fun. So just tucking in extra little bits and pieces. I do contemplate moving that title at one point and putting it underneath the bottom shelf, but I just love the way it sits on the shelves with the rest of the objects, so it just stays where it is. Yeah, so really pleased with that. I go back through and check and add a few little hearts on, just one on each corner of the frames that I made there. And then I'm just going to use some pencil lines. I would hate at this point to put my journaling on and have it be all wonky. So I used just a very light pencil line to add some journaling under the bottom shelf. Again, that really helps to balance the layout out and make sure that it's all sort of the right proportions on the page, and then just use my rubber to get rid of those pencil lines. And that is it. There is my page. I had so much fun making this one. I hope I've inspired you today. Please do consider giving this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribing to my channel if you don't already, because it would mean a lot. And please do follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Pear Tree Cut Files, and you can also follow my sister channel, if you like, at Pear Tree. Did I say Pear Tree Cut Files? Pear Tree Papercrafts and Pear Tree Cut Files. Thank you ever so much for watching. Check the description box out below for links to my creative scrapbook, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.